Actors who landed iconic roles. Many movie roles came together naturally. The actress or actor the creatives had in mind wanted the part and were available. Everything seemed to fall into place from the beginning as if it was meant to be. Examples of these pairings are Sofia Coppola's Lost in Translation with Bill Murray and Wes Anderson's The Grand Budapest Hotel with Ralph Fiennes. However, sometimes the person in mind for the role isn't able to do the job. It can be because of scheduling conflicts, or sometimes they just don't like the part. Whatever the reason, they pass on the role and it has to be played by someone else. Ultimately, the actor who steps up turns out to be the perfect fit, and it seems like the character couldn't have been portrayed by anyone else. Below is our list of some of the actors and actresses who make roles iconic after others passed. Number 1. Wolverine, Hugh Jackman. Dougray Scott. X-Men. Hugh Jackman wasn't even the second choice for Wolverine in Bryan Singer's X-Men. According to a Yahoo Entertainment article, Russell Crowe was Singer's first choice. Crowe passed on the role and recommended fellow Aussie Jackman. First, Singer offered the part to Dougray Scott, a more known quantity at the time, just because of scheduling conflicts with Mission Impossible 2. Scott had to pull out of the role. Jackman was then given the part and made it hard to imagine anyone else ever releasing the clause. Number 2. Aragorn, Viggo Mortensen. Stuart Townsend, The Lord of the Rings. While the story of why Stuart Townsend was fired from The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, isn't clear. The fact is, he was fired a day before filming was due to commence. The much older Viggo Mortensen, who took the role with encouragement from his son, replaced Townsend as Aragorn. The Lord of the Rings trilogy won 17 Oscars and is a landmark in cinema. Mortensen's Aragorn was a crucial component of the success of the films. Morpheus, Laurence Fishburne. Sean Connery, The Matrix. Initially, the role of Morpheus was offered to Sean Connery. He turned down the part because he didn't understand the script. Laurence Fishburne ultimately was cast as the captain of the Nebuchadnezzar. Unfortunately, Fishburne's Morpheus is not returning to the new installment in the Matrix series. However, his performance in the first 3 Matrix movies established an iconic character in film history. Miyagi, Pat Morita, Various, The Karate Kid. In a Television Academy Foundation interview, Morita describes how the higher-ups didn't want him for the role of Miyagi in The Karate Kid. He was viewed as a comedian and a comedic actor that wasn't right for the part. Morita credits the efforts of director John G. Avildsen in regards to him getting the role of Miyagi. They had gone through many actors in the audition process, and finally Morita was given a chance to read for the part. He did a pretty okay job. Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow. Scarlett Johansson, Emily Blunt, Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 might not be the most successful film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Still, it was crucial for the introduction of the prominent character Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow. Emily Blunt was initially considered for the role but was contracted to something else at the time. Johansson stepped up to fill the prominent Marvel character's shoes and established herself as a fan favourite for the rest of her run in the series. Michael Corleone, Al Pacino, Jack Nicholson, The Godfather. While some actors regret passing on major roles, Jack Nicholson doesn't regret the decision of turning down the part of Michael Corleone. Instead, Nicholson decided to star in Chinatown. The performance earned him a nomination for Best Actor in a Leading Role at the Oscars, while Al Pacino launched his career in The Godfather. Corleone was Pacino's third role in a feature film and is arguably one of his best. It certainly was the first of many. Precious? Gabri Sidibe. Jennifer Hudson, Precious. Gabri Sidibe's first role in film was a breakout performance in Precious. It is hard to think of anyone else portraying the character of Precious with the skill and depth Sidibe brought to the role. Jennifer Hudson was in consideration for the part, but ultimately decided to pass on it. The film was nominated for 6 Oscars, including Best Actress in a Leading Role for Sidibe. Han Solo, Harrison Ford, Al Pacino. Star Wars, Episode 4, A New Hope. Al Pacino was the beneficiary of Jack Nicholson turning down The Godfather, and Pacino passed on the karma when he turned down the role of Han Solo in Star Wars. Many were considered for the part, but it ultimately went to Harrison Ford. At the time, Ford was making a living as a carpenter, with an eye still on acting. He helped Lucas out by filling in as Han Solo to audition other actors for Luke and Leia. Ford had no expectations of becoming Han. Indy, Harrison, Ford, Tom Selleck, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Harrison Ford again landed an iconic role in film because another actor passed. Initially, director Steven Spielberg and producer George Lucas didn't want to cast Ford as Indiana Jones. Instead, Tom Selleck was the first choice for the role. Selleck was huge in the 70s, and it was actually because of his contract on the famous show Magnum P.I. that he couldn't take the job. Ford was brought in to fill the part of Indy, and it became another iconic role for the actor. Holly Golightly, Audrey Hepburn, Marilyn Monroe, Breakfast at Tiffany's. Audrey Hepburn is a legendary actress in Hollywood history. She was nominated for 5 Academy Awards for acting, including one for her performance as Holly Golightly in Breakfast at Tiffany's. The movie was loosely based on the novella by Truman Capote. However, Capote had another famous actress in mind for the role of Holly in Marilyn Monroe. Monroe's mentor, Lee Strasberg, thought the character would be bad for her image, so she turned it down. For every role written, there is a possibility of it being turned down. Sometimes that decision is made by an actor or actress for good reasons, and others it becomes a mischance. Whatever the reason, the iconic roles created by the opportunity for another actor to step up seemed written in the stars. Undoubtedly, there will be more roles that have been missed. Below will be a list of honorable mentions to cover more movie history of iconic roles. You can delve into search engines to see more famous parts that were passed over and who might have been the iconic character in another world. Honorable mentions: James Bond. Daniel Craig was chosen as James Bond after Hugh Jackman passed. Letitia Musgrove. Halle Berry was chosen as Letitia Musgrove after Angela Bassett passed on the Academy Award-winning role for Monsters Ball. Neo. Keanu Reeves was given the role of Neo after Sandra Bullock and Will Smith passed on the role in The Matrix. Forrest Gump. Tom Hanks was given the role after John Travolta passed on the role in Forrest Gump. Elle Woods. Reese Witherspoon was given the role after Christina Applegate passed on the role in Legally Blonde. Django. Jamie Foxx was given the role after Will Smith passed on in Django Unchained. Annie. Sandra Bullock was given the role after Halle Berry passed on the role for Speed. Eddie Adams. Dirk Diggler. Mark Wahlberg was given the role after Leonardo DiCaprio passed on the role in Boogie Nights. Harvey Dent. Aaron Eckhart was given the role after Matt Damon passed on the role in The Dark Knight. Gandalf. Ian McKellen was given the role after Sean Connery passed on the role in The Lord of the Rings.